Hi, guys. You're going to see me later. Hi, Mikhail. You guys are going to think, wow, he's weird. All right, chapter 9. Just about everything that happened to me that summer happened because of Winn-Dixie. For instance, without him, I would have never met Gloria Dump. He was the one who introduced us. What happened was this. I was riding my bike home from Gertrude's Pets, and Winn-Dixie was running along beside me. We went past Dunlap and Stevie Dewberry's house, and when Dunlap and Stevie saw me, they got on their bikes and they started to follow me. They wouldn't ride with me, they just rode behind me and whispered things that I couldn't hear. Neither one of them had any hair on their heads, because their mama shaved their heads every week during the summer, because one time Dunlap got fleas in his hair from their cat, Sadie. And now they looked like two identical, bald-headed babies, even though they weren't twins. Dunlap was 10, like me, and Stevie was 9, but he was tall for his age. I can hear you, I yelled at them. I can hear what you're saying, but I really couldn't hear them. Winn-Dixie started a race way ahead of me. You better watch out, Dunlap hollered. That dog is heading right for the witch's house. Winn-Dixie, I called, but he kept on going faster, and he hopped a gate, and he went to the most overgrown jungle of a yard that I had ever seen. You better go get your dog out of there, Dunlap said. That witch is going to eat that thing, Stevie said. Oh, be quiet, I told them. I got off my bike and I went up to the gate and yelled, Winn-Dixie, come on out. But he didn't. She's probably eating him right now, Stevie said. He and Dunlap were standing right behind me. She eats dogs all the time. Get lost, you bald-headed babies, I said. Hey, said Dunlap, that ain't a very nice way for a preacher's daughter to talk. He and Stevie started backing up a little bit. I stood there and thought for a minute. I finally decided that I was more afraid of losing Winn-Dixie than I was of having to deal with a dog-eating witch. So I went through the gate and I went into the yard. Oh, that witch is going to eat the dog for dinner and you for dessert, Stevie said. We'll tell the preacher that's what happened to you. By then, I was already deep into the jungle. There was every kind of thing growing everywhere. There were flowers, there were vegetables, trees, and vines. Winn-Dixie? I said. I heard. This dog sure likes to eat. I went around a really big tree all covered in moss, and there was Winn-Dixie. He was eating something right out of the witch's hand. She looked up at me. This dog sure likes peanut butter. You can always trust a dog that likes peanut butter, she said. She was old and wrinkly, and she had brown skin. She had on a big floppy hat that had flowers all over it. And she didn't have any teeth. But she didn't really look like a witch. She looked nice. And Winn-Dixie liked her, I could tell. I'm sorry that he got in your garden, I said. You ain't gotta be sorry, she said. I enjoy a little company. My name's Opal, I said. My name's Gloria Dump. Ain't that a terrible last name? Dump. My last name is Baloney, I said. Sometimes the kids back at my old school in Watley, they used to call me lunch meat.
Wait, your last name is
Baloney. Ha! Gloria said. What about this dog? What do you call him? Well, I call him Winn-Dixie, I said. Winn-Dixie thumped his tail on the ground. He tried smiling, but it was hard with his mouth all full of peanut butter. Winn-Dixie? You mean like the grocery store? Yes, ma'am, I said. Woo! She said. That takes a strange name prize, now don't it? Yes, ma'am, I said. I was just fixing to make myself a peanut butter sandwich, she said. You want one too? All right, I said. Yes, please. Go on and sit down, she said, pointing at a lawn chair. But sit down very carefully, because the back of the chair was all busted. I sat down careful, and Gloria Dump made me a peanut butter sandwich on white bread. Then she made one for herself and put her false teeth in. That way she could eat it. And when she was done, she said to me, You know, my eyes, they're not too good. I can't see nothing but the general shape of things, so I got to rely on my heart. Why don't you go on and tell me everything about yourself so I can see you with my heart? And because Winn-Dixie was looking up at her, like she was the best thing he had ever seen, and because the peanut butter sandwich had been so good, and because I had been waiting for a long time to tell some person everything about me. So I did. Chapter 10. I told Gloria Dump everything. I told her how me and the preacher had just moved to Naomi and how I had to leave all my friends behind. I told her about my mama leaving, and I listed out the 10 things that I knew about her. And I explained here in Naomi I missed mama more than I ever had in Watley. I told her about the preacher being a turtle, hiding all of the time inside his shell. I told her about finding Winn-Dixie in the produce department and how, because of him, I became friends with Miss Franny Block, And I got a job working for a man named Otis at Gertrude's Pets. And I got invited to Sweetie Pie Thomas's birthday party. I even told Gloria how Dunlap and Stuvie Dewberry called her a witch. But I told her they were stupid, mean, bald-headed boys, and I didn't believe them. Not for very long, anyways. And the whole time I was talking, Gloria Dump was listening. She was nodding her head and smiling and frowning and saying, and, is that right? I could feel her listening with all her heart, and it felt good. You know what? She said when all was done. What? Could it be that you got more of your mama in you than just red hairs and freckles? Really? I said. Like what? Like maybe you got her green thumb. The two of us could plant something and see how it grows. Test your thumb out. Okay, I said. What Gloria Dump picked for me to grow was a tree. Or she said it was a tree. To me, it looked more like a plant. She had me dig a hole for it and put it in the ground and pat the dirt around it tight, like it was a baby and I was tucking it into the bed. What kind of tree is this? I asked. It's a wait and see tree, she said. What's that mean? Well, it means you got to wait for it to grow up before you see it. Can I come back and see it tomorrow? I asked. Child, she said, as long as this is my garden, you are welcome in it. But that tree ain't going to have changed much by tomorrow. But I want to see you too, I said. Said Gloria Dump. I ain't going nowhere. I'll be right here. I woke Winn-Dixie up then. He had peanut butter in his whiskers, and he kept yawning and stretching. He licked Gloria Dump's hand before we left, and I thanked her. That night, when the preacher was tucking me into bed, I told him how I got a job at Gertrude's Pets, and I told him all about the friends I've made, like Miss Franny Block, and how I was invited to Sweetie Pie's party, and I told him about meeting Gloria Dump. Winn-Dixie laid on the floor, waiting for the preacher to leave so he could hop up on the bed like he always did. When I was done talking, the preacher kissed me goodnight, and then he leaned way over and gave Winn-Dixie a kiss too, right on the top of his head. You can go ahead and get up there now, he said to Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie looked at the preacher. He didn't smile at him, but he opened his mouth wide like he was laughing, like the preacher had just told him the funniest joke in the world. And this is what amazed me the most. The preacher laughed back. Winn-Dixie hopped right up on the bed, and the preacher got up and turned out the light. I leaned over and kissed Winn-Dixie too, right on the nose, but he didn't notice. He was already asleep and snoring.